everybody. Welcome back to Hanging with the Hoopers podcast. Andrew and Tim Hooper, your hosts, where we believe the attitude of leadership is absolutely everything. Tim, good to be with you again, my friend.
Man, it is. In the studio, just really digging and unpacking, taking some time. You know, I think that's what our challenge these days is, getting our mindset into this, okay, let me take some time to unpack a thought and to really think. We have so much bombarding us. So I'm excited to dig in. But you challenged me.
I did?
You did.
Okay.
You said, this topic we have to discuss because it's so relevant, especially right now. And I said, how is it relevant right now? So we kind of had a little bit of a discussion on how this is relevant. And I'm excited to dig into this one, Andrew. You're super passionate about it. It's something we try to do, but I think some leaders don't know how to do.
The suspense is killing me.
Yeah, I hope so.
I cannot take credit for this topic. It came from one of our viewers.
Yes.
And
David,
it really,
thank you, sir.
Yep. And it really had to come back to the end of the year, right? We're planning budgets for the new year.
Yep.
We know in the current environment we're in how our business unit is operating for the year. Are we operating in the green, in the red? Where are we at? And we have some foresight as to what to expect with our business, hopefully into 2023 at this point. And the topic that was thrown out was like transparency as a leader. Now more than ever in this environment, it's so critical that we are transparent with our people about the direction of the business, where we're going, how we're going to sustain business through a downturn, through a potential recession, as we're seeing the opening acts of this thing take place. And how do you communicate that well with your people? And so there's a few different aspects to kind of dig into and unpack. And I think the first does have to do with, I don't know if I know any leader right now in our industry, real estate and title, who maybe hasn't had to lay someone off recently. I think there's been a lot of that happening.
Sure.
And so I think most of us know as owners or business unit leaders, if that might be a reality. And we're just going to jump right into this, moving into the new year. There may be some layoffs coming. The good news is for people that may get laid off, there's, I think, 1.7 jobs available for every person looking right now. So that's good news. There are jobs available out there, different industries. But that's a reality that many of us in this industry are facing right now.
Yep.
And the transparency to start with conversations sooner than later. I mean, we're approaching the holidays right now. We're approaching Thanksgiving. We're approaching, Hanukkah, Christmas, whatever you celebrate. And at the end of the day, it's always kind of the dread time, especially in down market. People are like, am I going to get let go after the first of the year? Well, if you as a leader are planning to let somebody go, why not give them a heads up now? Be transparent about that. This is what our business can and can't afford. And unfortunately, this is happening. And I'm not saying this is the right way to go about it, but I've seen this work well. And while we can't support you, I'll do everything I can. Anytime you need during the next couple of months to do interviews, whatever, a recommendation letter, I'll do my best to help support you and your family and give them some ramp up time. Are they going to be sour for a day or two? Yeah, probably longer than that. But at the end of the day, will it be appreciated more than just, hey, you're done, pack your things and leave today to start a new year?
Right.
Like what you do the math there. What do you think is better? So I'd love your thoughts on this whole topic of transparency. And then after that, where we'll take this is kind of how do you rally your business unit if you do have to go through some transitions like that? How do you rally your business unit and keep them focused and dialed in to go execute now that you've gotten your business where it needs to be from a financial standpoint? So Tim, what are your thoughts? I've diatribed long enough.
It's a great topic. I like that you said it's kind of bitter news, right? Not shying away from that or fearing that is one of the first places to start, because I think that our fear of the reaction, our fear of the ramifications, our fear of what they're going to feel like. Listen, it's not going to feel good either way. I think those fears can stop us from being transparent. We can have closed doors conversations, as we should. Our leadership team should. We should figure out where we're going. We don't need to plant fear that somebody's going to be let go if they're not. But if it's real and if it's coming, to be able to have some conversations of, listen, business is down. The market is down. We're going to have some real conversations with each one of us. I know I worked for a company before. We were in the automotive space, and during the 2007, 2008 downturn, just everything was like flat for a little while. Our employer just sat down and talked to some people about going part-time for a time. It was much better than losing your job. Right. And so, so being able to do that, I think all really ties back though to really the golden rule, and not to try to oversimplify it, but if you really do think about it this way, put yourself in your employee's shoes, like doing to them what you'd want done to you if you were working in that position is so key to remember, especially during these times. The other thing is the attitude of leadership. I know it's our show's mantra, but really thinking about this, your heart comes through. Listen, you might not be the employer or the leader to shed a tear when you're having these conversations. You might be perfectly okay. Right. You might be one to shed a tear having these conversations, but letting your people see your heart. Transparency is not just about the numbers and the direction and the realities of business. It's also about the heart of the leader.
I like that you bring that up.
Yeah, to say, I hate this.
Yeah.
I don't want to have this conversation. But it's the reality of the business. It's where we're at. And you may be surprised. You may actually uncover that, you know what? I wanted to shift over into this industry, or I wanted to go back to school and study nursing, or I wanted to...
I think those are some best case scenarios, right?
They are.
And I would throw, I mean, this is not an easy topic to unpack, but I think it's critical that we do because... You know, there are times you have to let somebody go when it is a blindside to them, right? Something comes up, there was a breach of something, you know, company policy that was gross negligence, and you got to let someone go short notice. And I think those are easier conversations because, hey, you did something unethical, or you put the company at risk, and so we're letting you go. Right. But when business is truly just down, and you know that in order to survive, you have to trim a salary, you have to trim a headcount. I don't think those decisions are easy. Many business leaders I know, they, appreciate everyone on their team. And sometimes I get those decisions can be easier if there's somebody who hasn't been pulling their weight, or they've already been kind of quiet quitting. We've talked about that. They haven't really been doing much.
Right.
It makes those conversations easier for the leader, but it's not about, like, the leadership path is not about it being easy. I think to the example many of us probably know recently, where a CEO for a large online company, I believe they do mortgages, got on a Zoom with everybody and laid off a couple hundred people at once on a Zoom. And the entire Zoom, you could watch it online, was all about how it was so hard for him to do that. And it was all about him. We can all learn from that. While it might not be easy for you to have this conversation with somebody, this is not about you. Who's going to still be working come layoff? You. You're still going to own your business or run your business unit.
Right.
The person you're laying off is not going to be. So I believe in some empathy there. And I think, again, if it's a situation that you can do this ethically, where it's not going to pose a risk to your business, giving ramp up time and supporting that person over the holidays more than ever, have some empathy in that process and some humanity in the sense that this person is going to be impacted by this news.
Yes.
Bad news is always better delivered sooner than later.
Yeah, we say that in our business, right?
It doesn't age well.
Right. Like if one of our business units gets wind of something bad in the market, whatever, as a leader, we want to know that bad news ASAP.
Right.
So we can, start making strides towards fixing it, start making strides towards flip the tables and think about it from your employee situation. Andrew, I've never been laid off. I don't know that I could, you said empathy, right? I don't know that I could empathize truly with somebody. So maybe you're a leader who's always owned your business or always been at the top or always been the top producer before you started your business, and you just never had to think about being laid off. You would be the one that the president kept, whatever. That doesn't mean that everybody has to be up at that level with you. There are some, part-timers in your company. There are some, working moms, single moms who they have so much responsibility outside of the career that they are very lucky and very blessed and very grateful to be able to come clock in, do good work, and then leave. But that position might be going away. right? And so just to help, and they're not going to be embittered towards you. Yes, it's going to be bitter to get the news, but I think if you made the call more, just for that example you gave the call, if you made the call more about here's this resource and here's this resource and here's this resource and here's some financial aid and here's this and here's a federal program and here's this, here's some back to school stuff if that's what, here's some LinkedIn learning. I don't know what the case may be. I'm just kind of conjecturing right now, but if you put like a resource list together as if a disaster had just happened, what would you do if you were like working for FEMA? You put all these resources list together. Here's the Red Cross, here's this this place, here's the food bank. Like, think about that. Are you doing the same for your person that might be leaving the company soon, to say, here's a list of resources. I'm here. I love that you said a recommendation letter, Andrew. I think that's so awesome. I think
if you can, if they were somebody who you can recommend,
yes. If they're somebody you did not want to lose, but you're going through a downturn, how to do headcount. Right. Now, again, there's some industries you're listening right now. You're booming right now, right? Different industries booming, some aren't. Like, we just happen to be in this space. I think this is a more difficult podcast in that it's a more difficult conversation. So I love that you brought it up, though. Transparency of the numbers, but let's talk real quick too. Shift gears on what if it's not about a layoff? What about just, again, business numbers, business metrics, some of those things?
Sure.
Shouldn't our habit be trying to incorporate more transparency throughout our business, our company?
Yeah, I overheard some leaders talking the other day, and this was people I didn't even know. I just overheard the conversation in public. They were having this conversation like, well, we don't need to tell people XYZ. And they were talking about something to do with their business unit. It was very easy to tell that. And I didn't say anything. I don't know these people, but in my head, I'm like, I don't believe in operating in that way. If there are things that people should be aware of, if from the top it's coming down, guys, we got to trim back in this area because it could be leading down a path, or there's some fat here that needs to be trimmed, or we need to adjust. We got to get tighter in this aspect of the business, or we all need to get better at this. Like, there's so many scenarios. Name the scenario.
Right.
In my opinion, don't try to keep that from your people. Let them know the why behind it. The inner workings. Here's where we are and why we're making this decision. Here's why we believe it's important. Yeah. And here's the steps we're going to take.
Right.
Here's the vision we've outlined. And at the end of the day, the people have to execute it.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and that goes back to the same conversation right now. If you're going through a difficult time where you've trimmed some head count, that's the type of conversation you need to have with the rest of the team post that situation. Right?
Ooh, this is good.
Because everyone else is going to sit there and be like, am I next?
Very worried. Just trying to
worried. Someone gets let go. 2 people get let go. Yeah. 3 people get let go. Okay. Am I next?
Right.
And where we've talked about this before, where there's an absence of an explanation, the vacuum will be filled with something, and human nature will fill it with a negative.
Yep.
You want to kill your people's productivity. You want to create a culture of uncertainty through a lean time when it's already tough.
Yep.
Just don't communicate about what's going on. If you make planned, informed decisions to do something like this, you communicate upfront with the people who need to know. And then when it happens, you bring the entire team together to explain those decisions, to articulate your vision why. This is going to allow us to move forward and thrive. Yeah. And no one else need to be concerned because you've taken the time to plan and you understand that that's where your business is heading.
Boom.
I mean, that's an ideal situation, but I think it's a winning formula when it comes to running a business and making those tough decisions.
Right.
Now you take all the uncertainty out of the picture, and your employees can come to work and feel, I'm good.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And hopefully, if you're applying that same planning to every aspect of your business and you're doing the right things to grow your business, you'll continue to grow and thrive and be able to maybe bring those people back. I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, we let somebody go, but they're on call and they know they're on call.
Wow.
And they would come back because there was only one person I had to let go out of the group I let go that I didn't want to have to let go.
Wow.
But they had those conversations to the point where that person is willing to come back.
Yeah.
And that's a lesson for all of us, right? I think we talk about when you leave a company, don't burn bridges. Well, as a leader, when you let somebody go because business is tough,
right.
Are you trying not to burn bridges? Yeah, if that person obviously is somebody who's earned and commands your respect, to not burn the bridge.
That's good, man. That's solid.
So we're digging into it. I mean, I know this is, a conversation that is like, hey, it's a heavy one.
Yeah.
But in today's environment and leading up to the holidays, do the right thing for your business, for your people. Everyone's in the throes of budgets right now. We're doing budgets.
Yeah.
All of our business owners are doing budgets.
Right.
So you're looking at it. You know probably what you're going to have to do.
Yeah. And get some outside perspective. I know for Andrew's and from our standpoint, we can just offer maybe some best practices. We run an entire region. So sometimes somebody's done it a certain way that worked out really well. Being able to pull some of that outside perspective in and just say, hey, maybe having that transparent conversation first with your inner core, some trusted advisors, some confidants to say, this is what I'm up against. How do we best approach this? And then kind of coming up with that communication strategy together. You're not on your own in this. It's a tough conversation. Yep. There will be some results that you don't like, and you just don't want repercussions that you could have controlled if you had just been a little bit more thoughtful or, proactive in how you communicate things. So just again, a great topic for first and foremost. I think all of us appreciate when people are transparent with us and we don't feel like there's a hidden agenda.
Right.
Or things being hidden. The worst thing to do is, nobody else is being laid off. And then 2 weeks later, a whole nother round comes.
That goes back to you got to get your stuff right. You got to get your plan right.
Trust. Again, it comes back to the trust, because then somebody was covering, hoping we were going to do better.
Right.
And then that hope didn't work out. So just being, and then also just opening it up to, even when you're not in a layoff posture, but maybe you're growing your business, you're making some moves, you're acquiring some using capital, acquire more, grow regionally, sharing some of those things, even the metrics, maybe not always the dollars, but sometimes the metrics of what you want, because then the entire business unit understands, why am I walking in the door? And when I leave, what's my ROI? Those sorts of things in transparency just mean healthier business, because
100%.
We are all accountable to each other.
Right.
So people are not just human capital or human resource. I know that's what we call our departments, human resource.
They're not commodities.
They're not commodities. They're humans with lives.
And emotions.
And emotions. And when we can take that into account and treat them the way we'd want to be treated, I think we'll become a more transparent leader. Andrew, this was a powerful one.
Remember, Tim, it's not about being right.
It's being able to relate.
Boom. See you next time.
See you guys.